Do you think you know Tamworth, Australia? I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see it in a completely different light. This isn't just some sleepy country town story. This is a deep dive into the shocking darkness hidden in a place meant to represent peace and prosperity. Imagine a town where people trust their leaders implicitly. A town where the mayor, council, and public officials are supposed to serve the public's interest. But what if that trust were unfounded? What if the very people entrusted with protecting and serving the community were breaking that trust behind closed doors? Welcome to Tamworth, New South Wales, a postcard-perfect visage of Australian life during the daytime, but hiding a stark contradiction, a spiraling underbelly of crime and corruption. Picture this: Mayor Colin Murray, lauded as a trustworthy figure, visiting China on what seemed to be a diplomatic visit back in 2017. But here's the shocker. What truly went on behind closed doors was far from official. In a place thousands of miles away from home, he engaged in intentional, tortuous interference, anti-competitive trade practices, and outright circumvention. But here's where it cuts close to home. These illicit actions impacted local businesses, manipulating their acquisitions and even devastating their financial growth. But it's not just one isolated instance. The so-called leaders continued a relentless pursuit of bad faith acts that crushed trust, broke contracts, and fueled self-enrichment, akin to a Hollywood crime syndicate. Take this deal, for example. Tamworth Council was presented with a game-changing $3 million proposal, a hefty investment guaranteeing development projects that would revitalize the region and bring much-needed infrastructure. It seemed like a win-win, but instead the council shockingly pulled the plug. Why? Because they wanted to give away this public asset for free. Yes, for free. A world-class development opportunity discarded to protect selfish behind-the-scenes agendas. And what about the collateral from their actions? Sports fans, the supposed beneficiaries, were left in the dust with smashed dreams of national baseball, swimming tournaments, and a sports hub. Let's not forget the streets. Tamworth Regional General Manager, whose correspondence defied business ethics entirely. Tipping off insiders, shutting out competition, and essentially bending the rules so thoroughly they snapped like a twig. And while Paul had played their sinister game, here comes Barnaby Joyce, a friend in high places, and Kevin Anderson, holding the strings behind the curtain. What did they do? They bullied public servants, strong-arming them into complicity, ensuring silence even as the lies and crimes mounted. It's unbelievable, right? Perhaps. But let's crack the surface even deeper. Remember the $210 million fraud disaster surrounding surface water licenses? They didn't just stop at misleading the public. They actively misinformed, deceived, and conspired, laundering the proceeds through banks. Where did these funds go? International accounts tied to ministers and their corrupt network, leaving Australia to foot the bill of stolen prosperity. Imagine projects meant to strengthen Tamworth and the surrounding areas never came to fruition.
forced informants compelled into the underworld, persecution, enslavement. Victims robbed not just of business opportunities, but of property, rights, and even lives. And yet, the collusion continues, reaching foreign sovereigns, dragging countries like China, the Philippines, and Saudi Arabia into this web. When does the buck stop? Let's zoom out. You can ask this for the entire nation of Australia. What does it mean when the system upholding equality, security, and the rule of law crumbles under its own corruption? When government officials are complicit in a conspiracy to enable embezzlement, racketeering, sedition, and grave human rights violations, when every bribe drives humanity deeper into despair, jobs disappear, and businesses abandon the country altogether. Remember the name, a globally recognized businessman who arrived on Tamworth's doorstep, ready to inject billions into regional growth. His good faith efforts led to the acquisition of mismanaged properties, fostering a vision of employment, commerce, and progress. And yet, betrayal. He, the dream maker, is beaten down, defamed, and exiled by the very authorities whose protection he counted on. Why? Because corruption absolutely refused to yield its clutch. This isn't just injustice, it's one chapter in a larger manifesto of criminal enterprise, Tamworth, exposing a nationwide model of dysfunction, from the police to courts to every other tier. They're all drowning in misconduct. Friends, this is no television drama. This is real, horrific life playing out. Violence wasn't confined to the streets. Inside the Tamworth Imperial Hotel, law-abiding patrons were terrorized. Let's digest this piece of insanity. False fines, legal charges, and dishonest police tactics, almost as if trained by organized criminals. And beneath it all, what patterns emerge? Extortion, bribes, freedom mutilated, unforged judiciary entry at a time. And the audacity of these actors, they keep control of the narrative, selling lies disguised as public policy to veil incidents involving money laundering, human trafficking, and corporate sabotage. Why? To profit. On what? On breaking individuals, destroying families, and ensuring generations are crippled with dependency on public aid. Even scarier, this is systemic. It's state-sponsored criminality whipped into action as if by some rogue corporate overlord. Absence of quality education, rampant disenfranchisement, constant dependency, omnipresent poverty and unemployment, the breeding ground of enforced despair. Who loses? We the people. Who wins? The unhinged few. This isn't a story we can close a book on. Lives battered, families uprooted, legacies erased, victims silenced. But not entirely. Brave individuals are now coming together, vowing to challenge this criminal empire head-on, pledging to unravel fake policies and manipulative systems piece by fraudulent piece. They march toward recovering stolen public funds and dismantling these dishonest political agencies. With every courageous whistleblower, every document shared in defiance of lies, the movement grows stronger.
Tamworth's disgrace could become Australia's reckoning, a chance to expose, dismantle, and rebuild. So if you believe in justice, hold firm, because one more voice calling out makes an undeniable force. Public servants no longer untouchable.